Yet our friends out there in YouTube land. Your good buddy Fantastic here. Joining me is my beautiful wife.
Hi.
And we're here. It's late or early, depending on how you're looking at it.
It's late.
Well, early because it's early in the day.
It's really not. It's later at night.
It's 1 in the morning. The new day starts at 12:01, technically.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's early.
Uh-huh.
And we stayed up.
Yep.
Yes, we stayed up to finally watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I say finally because we're not going to the movies.
Hey,
Hold on, wait.
sacrificed the movie I wanted to watch for
Yes.
your movie.
Yeah,
So
I'll
you're
say this.
welcome.
My wife wanted to watch, what's the name of it?
Woman of the Hour.
Woman of the Hour, which I would want to see too. I'm the one who brought it to your attention.
Mm-hmm. I've been wanting to watch it day in and day out.
And I said, nope.
I've been patiently waiting.
Oh, I've been waiting longer.
No, you haven't. It just came out.
July 26th.
Okay, but that was the day it went in theaters.
Look, we could have rented it digitally.
Ah.
We could have. I told you I got a $10 Best Buy coupon. I could have bought the Blu-ray. I have the other two on Blu-ray.
You gotta save money.
I have a $10 coupon.
$10.
That's
$10.
like half of the cost, I think. I don't even know how much a
Hey,
Blu-ray costs
you're
now.
still paying out of pocket $10 where you watched it for free. You're welcome.
You don't watch it for free. We pay a
See?
monthly subscription.
But still, you didn't have to pay that extra $10 on top.
But Blu-ray would have looked nicer anyway.
Nah.
Yeah, don't you remember we watched Endgame on Blu-ray? It looks
don't.
nicer than when you stream.
I can care less about.
It's technology.
I can care less about.
Anyway,
quality.
let's get to the point. Stop delaying.
You're the one who's delaying it.
So, I'll start by saying thoughts.
I'm a little disappointed. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, let's back up. So, we've seen a couple theories. I've posed a couple theories. You could go back and watch that. I'll tag something or other if I remember how to do that. I haven't done this in a while. Since the first trailer dropped, I think since the first teaser dropped, you're like, I don't know if it's going to be funny. So that was your. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That was your
Right.
issue
Yeah.
going into the film.
Yeah.
So bring it back now. You say you're a little disappointed.
I mean, it was funny, yes.
Spoilers, by the way.
But there were also parts that weren't in my mind. And then there was a lot more fighting, and I felt like that fighting was really repetitive between Wolverine and Deadpool. Like, I get what they were doing with it, but it was just so much repetition that it was like, I'm checked out.
See, I thought...
Like, it was just very overly done, and I'm sitting there like, okay, we get the point. Let's move on to the story. And I felt like those 2 hours could have been reduced to an hour and a half. And there was so much filler with a lot of those fight scenes between the two of them. And it's just so exhausting to see it over and over and over and over and over again. And I thought it was just so, like, unnecessary.
So if I'm hearing you right, your perfect Deadpool movie would have been a Deadpool movie without fight scenes.
No. The fight scene in particular with Wolverine, that was very exhausting to see.
I disagree.
Mm-mm.
No, it's this classic superhero trope.
No. It was overly done. I thought it was to nauseam.
I'll say this.
Just like...
I think they did spend a little too much time in the void. But no, I enjoyed the action scenes. I was thinking, this is the most visceral action scenes that we've seen, certainly Wolverine in, and certainly of the Disney Marvel films. But no, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I think there was a little bit too much time in the void. I don't know how I feel about them trusting Cassandra Nova, and then 10 minutes later, she's like, well, you're done anyway.
Yeah.
But why don't we look at some of the other parts? So what is it that you enjoyed?
I liked the beginning.
That was it? That's all you enjoyed?
The beginning and some parts of the ending. That was it.
You didn't like So you basically, if we were making a sandwich, the only part you liked was the bread. Is that right?
Yeah.
Come on. Did you like seeing the montage of Wolverine variants?
Yeah, that was okay. It wasn't my favorite. I mean, I'm comparing it to the first Deadpool movie, and I'm like, there's no comparison whatsoever. It was like a whole different movie, and apart from Deadpool, like we're steering away from the movie, and we're going into like different plots.
Well, you got to bring Deadpool into the Avengers universe, if you will, and this is what this involves. If you recall, my initial theory was this is going to be the Avengers story. Time runs out. It was a little bit. I'm not going to say. I won't say it was exactly it, but it was definitely a lot of elements of that. So, do you think you would have enjoyed it more had you recognized a lot of the Fox movie characters? Because there was a lot of nuance in there that I think you were missing. First of all, well, let's start the first big one. Again, I said spoilers. Did you did you know Chris Evans was the Human Torch in the original Fantastic Four 6? Okay, so that kind of fell on the wayside too.
But I don't think that really adds anything more to the storyline or the movie.
I would say that adds a little bit of flavor to it, because that's a bit of fan service that was like, oh wow, your time, this whole thing was, hey, this is the end of the Fox universe. And in the end, it really wasn't the end of it. It's kind of like, I guess you could say, Peninsula, for lack of a better word.
But I don't think that really would have changed my outlook on the movie.
Well, no, because then, I mean, there were some great moments that directly related to that. And there was pretty much all of the void that was something that you can look at that was a connection to the Fox universe. You didn't recognize Sabretooth, right? Now, that was kind of a biggie.
Well, they kind of like, had that in the subtitles, so that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, when we watch our movies, we have the captions on because we can't put the volume too high. That's what she's talking about with the subtitles. Sabretooth, but do you know Sabretooth from...
Yeah, I know that you mentioned him. That's how I knew.
Right. I mean, in the first X-Men movie, he kind of had that was the first X-Men movie actor. That was the big thing too, is they went to some of the original actors. In the terrible Wolverine Origins movie, it was a different actor, Liev Schreiber, who did a phenomenal job, but I think scheduling conflicts, they couldn't bring him back. Pyro was from the original X-Men films. He was like a student turned villain. They make a lot of iterations to Charles Xavier. You see Wesley Snipes come in as Blade. You've never seen Blade, right?
I don't believe so.
I keep telling you.
I know the character, though.
But the movie is a great movie. And Blade, the film that came out in 1998, is directly responsible for the superhero genre blowing up, because all the superhero movies that came before Blade were hokey and they tanked. Blade was the first one that was a huge success, where they started saying, all right, let's see what we can do. And then a couple years later, you had Spider-Man. Now, one thing you might not notice, there was a little scene where Wesley Snipes reprising Blade, just when he first sees or Deadpool, he's like, hey, they say something, I thought we never liked each other, blah, blah, blah. In the third Blade film, which I've seen, but I have no memory of, I think I mentally shut myself off from because it was awful. It was legendarily a tough movie to film, and Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes, for a while, in the press, went back and forth at each other at it. But they really didn't like each other, so that was that reference was. Elektra, I know that you know.
Yep. Gambit, I knew. I just couldn't remember his name.
Channing Tatum was supposed to be in a Gambit film. I explained this to you. Yeah. And it just never came to fruition.
Yeah.
And, X-23, that was a nice surprise. I should say that for the most part, I've been able to stay spoiler-free until now. So I think that's an achievement. I'm sorry.
What I didn't understand was, I thought I was going to see Doctor Strange with that little...
Well, they put an narration in there that it sounds like a Doctor Strange variant had visited and she killed him. and that's
Where
where
did
she
they
got.
see? Did I
She
miss
said that when she said an amateur
Oh, I missed that
musician,
part.
and then he said strange.
Okay. Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the Deadpool corpse?
I mean, I don't really have any thoughts on that.
I'll say this: they nailed almost every single Deadpool variant I could think of. The only one I didn't see was Agent X. I think that would have been interesting. But you saw Lady Deadpool, the zombie Deadpool. I was kind of disappointed zombie Deadpool didn't have like a bigger part. Like I thought it would have been kind of funny that he was like eating popcorn with them or something in the ending credit.
That would have been funny.
But you saw, I don't know if you saw, there was Deadpool's daughter in there, the Ronin Deadpool, Zenpool was there too, which I thought Zenpool was supposed to be peaceful. I don't know why he was fighting, but that's the whole big thing.
I just didn't understand that part where Peter Pool shows up and everyone's like, "Oh my God, they're worshiping him."
Because
like,
he's.
That's it. The fight is over.
Because he's the. You have to understand, he's basically like the mascot of every Deadpool. So they see him and he like, hey, he's with me. They're like, oh, okay, good. We'll stop fighting.
That was ridiculous in my mind. So all of a sudden, like, they were all buddies.
Yes.
Like, oh, yeah.
Because their hate. Here's the thing with Deadpool. He's a killer. He's a mercenary. But his love for his friends, in this case, in the film, this is the film version. I'm not talking about the comic version, of course. It overrides everything. So they see Peter, and it's like that constant thing. Okay, above everything, here's Peter. You understand?
Yeah. And I felt like a lot of parts were not shown. Like, I was kind of confused when, she was seeing someone else, and I'm like, wait a minute, did I miss something somewhere? They're broken up. Like,
I thought they gave enough.
I'm like,
they didn't need to show it on screen, and they
did,
went back and did it later
lost.
on.
That was a huge aspect of the movie. They were together.
But they went back after the fact. See, the whole point.
How much later, though, into the movie?
But that was the whole point. You got what you needed up front, and then they went back when it had more of an impact.
Know what was going on. I'm like,
no,
what?
Because if they showed that to you up front, if they said that to you, if you knew that within the first 10 minutes, when she went picking in his brain, you wouldn't have gotten that impact. Same with Wolverine basically letting all the X-Men die and then going on a merciless rampage and basically making all the X-Men in his universe the villain. If you knew that all up front, you wouldn't feel it later on. And that's in a bunch of movies they do the thing. Are there any cameos? What cameo did you like the best? Why don't we say that? Or reference?
I mean, that's kind of broad.
I'm trying to give you a softball here, honey.
That's a tough one to answer, to be honest with you.
How did you feel about the TVA?
I had mixed feelings on it because I don't know if they did good by bringing TVA in to Deadpool. Like, I thought it was taking away from Deadpool, to be honest with you. I thought it was kind of like Loki in a way that I'm watching.
Well, they were tying him in, and it was a way for him to go between these universes. I thought Paradox was a little heavy-handed at the beginning. I was like, wow, so he's really giving away all of his plans to begin with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to go in a different direction.
What direction did you feel it was going to go into?
They were going to actually go ahead and destroy the world he's living in.
That's what I thought too.
And then he had to stop it with Wolverine. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I wasn't thinking like, oh, he's going to be in this voyage and stuck with Wolverine for almost an hour in a movie. So it was just kind of like dragging at that point, and I'm like, eh.
In the fight in the void, by the way, there were a lot of the Fox characters too. Juggernaut, Azrael, Toad. There was a couple Psylocke. There was a version of Psylocke. There was a version.
Was that Ant-Man that they had?
Yeah, that's why the Paul Rudd joke.
I know.
There was what's her face, Deathstrike. You haven't seen the second X-Men movie, which is one of my favorites. She refuses to watch it. Yeah. All right. So, are there any? I'm giving everyone here the asterisk. Your knowledge of comics in the Fox universe is rather limited. But are there any cameos that you wanted to see that, or that you thought you would have seen that just didn't pop up? And I have one final question actually after that too.
I can't think of any.
I thought for sure there would have been two that would have been perfect. Not maybe full-blown like character scenes, but I thought they were going to have, remember how I explained to you in the second volume of or third volume of the book Exiles, there was a cartoon manga version of Wolverine?
Yeah.
I thought for sure we were going to see a cartoon Wolverine at some point. Just pop in.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
And I thought
That would have been funny.
And I thought it would have been hilarious. This is like a long-going like internet joke. If we saw a Wolverine variant, even a Deadpool variant would have been great. With played by Danny DeVito, just like run across the screen or something.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito as the Larry Hammond noseless Wolverine would have been great.
Right.
So save that for the sequel. Ryan Reynolds and Disney, who will never even think of saying this. The final question I have for you. Deadpool, there was this little scene in this importance of Thor crying over Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
What did you make of that? Go ahead.
I thought it was, well, they kind of touched up on it in the movie where they said, oh, that happens in the future. You haven't lived that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking in my mind, maybe something happens with the world he lives in, and all these, Avengers are fighting, and he's almost dying. So Thor is there,
Mm-hmm.
where he's kind of living his last moments. That, I don't know, like something like that.
I'll say this, the secret wars are coming. That I explained to you before. That's where the different universes basically are battling it out.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Doctor Doom is coming, played by Robert Downey Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking maybe they're inferring that Deadpool makes a sacrifice at the end of one of these upcoming movies. The Avengers Doomsday is supposed to be the big kind of finale for the Avengers, and then they're going to go into the X-Men type of characters. So maybe that's something there.
Yeah.
We won't know until whenever it comes out.
I wonder if they're really going to do anything with that, or was it just for this movie?
Could have just been a tease.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe they're not going to do anything with that.
All right, so what are your final thoughts?
So you liked the movie overall?
I liked it overall,
yes.
How
would you rate it from 1 to 5? 5 being the best.
I mean, I'd say, I'm going to say a 4.
A 4?
Yes.
I like it a 3.
3's fair, 3's middling. How did you like it compared to the first Deadpool movie I know is your
oh my God, that was
gold standard?
Yeah.
The second one I know that you weren't a fan of.
Yeah, too dark.
How did you like this compared to the second one?
It was slightly better, but I still felt like the first one was my favorite one. I just thought it was not the original Deadpool. It was like Loki. Loki gone Deadpool.
This is the original Deadpool though.
It's not.
He's just now in a pocket version of the Disney universe. I guess he's gonna go back and forth. We shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, after many long months, we finally did it. So now I could go back into all the chats I was in and everything and say, we saw it.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Well, that's all we got. Peace, love, and comics. Oh, do hashtag Deadpool for an entry into the giveaway, which we'll probably never hit, but we'll try. Later.